Welcome to Long Short Stories. I'm your storyteller, David Davis. David Davis. David Davis. I'm alright. It's passing. Please don't call the police. Put the phone down. And tonight, I present episode 3, Radio Silence. Shh. Sheriff Mitchell is about to learn that when you're helping solve a murder case, it's important not to become the next victim. So settle back, dim the lights, and let's begin.
Sheriff Dan Mitchell ends his cell phone call and sets it on his desk, then walks out of his office toward the break room of the Porter County Sheriff's Department, drawn by the sound of animated conversation punctuated by bursts of laughter. The summer vacation days are winding down, the long sunlight hours growing shorter, and with the vacationers packing up their tents and fishing poles, the grandchildren heading back to their parents in the larger cities. The countryside of Porter County is settling back into its quieter rhythm. Less work for Mitchell and his small department, no more preventing illegal campfires in the dry hot months and answering noise complaint calls in the middle of the night. Fall would bring a welcome respite from summer's pleasant chaos. Deputy Tyler Morrison is finishing his story as Deputy Jessica Martinez makes a cup of coffee for Sheriff Mitchell.
I was telling Jessica, Deputy Thomas said he was answering a call regarding loud, banging, very suspicious noises at Mackenzie High School, thinking it's a break-in, some students having gotten in and are running around inside. He looks around, the deputy looks around for 20 minutes, nothing. Then he hears a racket down the hall, gets to the break room and finds a raccoon trapped inside a vending machine. He had to wait for 2 hours for the vending machine owner to drive over with the keys and let the raccoon out.
Sheriff Mitchell laughs.
How in the hell did the raccoon get into the vending machine in the first place?
How did they get into the high school in the first place?
So I just got off the phone with Detective Paul Sullivan from Santa Fe County.
Ooh, Santa Fe.
He's working a homicide. A young female, late 20s, from Santa Fe, was found with multiple knife wounds, lying in a ravine.
How awful.
Sullivan believes his suspect might have been at Walker Ranch sometime last year before this girl was found within the last 2 years. He asked if the sheriff's department could send someone to drive up to Walker Ranch to collect soil samples, take photographs. I don't think fingerprints will have survived this long, but we'll take a kit just in case.
Walker Ranch? Up in Black Deer Valley?
Tyler says, slowly.
I've heard a lot of stories about that place ever since I was a kid.
Stories?
Sheriff Mitchell raises an eyebrow.
You've heard about the Walker Ranch. The Walker family disappeared in '91. Never found a trace of them. Now it's just a derelict ranch house and cattle scattered all over the valley.
Jessica adds, leaning against the counter.
I remember the family never being found. That really happened.
Sheriff Mitchell says,
What about the hiking couple from Denver last summer? They were talking about lights in the sky, strange sounds coming from the Walker house at night and stuff like that.
Tyler nods.
Area 51 is not far from there. That could explain the lights. Stories of figures moving around the property, human, but not quite human looking.
Sheriff Mitchell and Jessica laugh.
Rumors attract bad circumstances, and over time, the urban legends grow. People add on their own creative elements to keep the legend going.
This is different.
Jessica protests.
The Walker Ranch is different. These are people we know, people who don't make things up. Miss Patterson in my neighborhood, when she was young, she grew up on a horse farm not far from the Walkers. She says her grandmother used to warn all the kids about staying away from Walker land. Something about the ground being wrong.
Wrong how?
Tyler shrugs.
Animals won't graze there anymore. Cattle give it a wide berth. Even the wild game avoids it.
Stuff like that. And there's a whole thing about electronics going haywire. Compasses spinning, radios picking up voices that aren't there, car engines dying for no reason.
The Walker Triangle.
Tyler laughs at the sheriff's comeback.
So, what you're telling me is that I should call Detective Sullivan and tell him we can't help with his murder investigation because some cows are picky about where they graze, and it scares us.
Well, when you put it like that.
Jessica says,
Gang, I'm heading up to the Walker Ranch house later this afternoon. I think this is a good opportunity to test the limits of our DVRS radios. If there are dead zones in our coverage area, we need to know where they are. What do you guys think?
Do you want me or Jessica to go with you? Someone has to man the station.
Sheriff Mitchell waves him off.
No, you'd be in overtime anyway, Tyler, and I want to keep you on through the winter months, and the budget will be tight for the rest of the year, so no more weekends for you. Jessica needs to cover the station this weekend.
The radio range from Black Deer Valley.
Jessica says slowly, in a serious tone.
Even with the DVRS system, that's pushing 40 miles through mountain terrain.
Which is exactly why we need to test it. I'll park the SUV on Ernest Ridge as a repeater. I'll take the smaller mobile unit on the ATV with the bullwhip antenna. Should relay all the way back to the sheriff's station with the SUV parked high on Ernest Ridge. That is pretty much line of sight, don't you think?
It is, yeah. But any serious weather and those walkies will be useless.
Then we'll find that out too.
The sheriff heads for the kitchen door, then pauses.
Where's Tyler? Tyler, before you leave tonight, prep the SUV and ATV, full fuel, camping supplies, extra water, chain of custody kit, evidence kit, flashlights, fresh batteries, food, just in case I decide to make a weekend of it.
As Sheriff Mitchell walks away, he hears Jessica mutter.
Better him than me.
Heard that.
Tyler agrees.
Go ahead and get started on the ATV. It takes longer than you would think.
Tyler gets up, out of his office chair he had just settled into.
There's an ATV supply checklist on the inside of the red metal storage lockers. You'll need to add the portable water tank and the bullwhip antenna to the ATV.
Jessica says, now moving toward Tyler, gesturing.
Actually, it'll be faster if we just do it together.
They leave the office toward the evidence room.
So your deputies talked themselves out of this camping trip?
Lucy asks.
Pretty much. Started going on about lights in the sky and cattle that won't graze.
Sheriff Mitchell scratches Daisy's rear end rapidly, making her even more excited.
What exactly are you supposed to be looking for up there again?
Evidence for a homicide case. Detective Sullivan thinks his suspect might have been at the Walker Ranch before the victim turned up dead. Homicide would like Walker Ranch soil samples, photographs of the dilapidated house, the full forensic workup. I don't think there's anything there for him. He's just covering his ass, but I have to oblige.
Maybe there's a reason people are spooked.
Sheriff Mitchell looks at his wife.
You too?
I'm just saying, where there's smoke.
Lucy shrugs.
I want to test our radio system's range. It's state-of-the-art and very expensive. I'll show you in a second.
Sheriff Mitchell says, leaning into the back of the SUV, searching through random gear.
I'm leaving you the 5th radio. I've sent it to channel 33, so just leave it on that setting. The DVRS should relay from the ranch to the SUV on Ernest Ridge, to the sheriff's station, then to this radio here.
Wow, how far is that exactly?
Lucy asks.
About 40 miles through the mountains. But with the repeater system, it should work fine. Good chance to put this $40,000 investment to the test.
You know, most wives have to force their husbands out of the house on weekends.
Sheriff Mitchell grins.
Here's a volume control, but you shouldn't need to touch the volume. You'll be able to hear me speaking without touching anything. It's like an intercom. When you want to talk, just press the bar on the side. It's that simple. The charging base is inside on the mail table. I've already plugged it into the wall and tested it out. So you can just leave the radio charging in its base. Let me show you this though, not to overcomplicate. You can just press this button for conference mode. then you can leave it in the base and you won't have to hold the button down each time you want to talk back. I'd leave it on and leave the radio in the charging base, and then you can move around and we can talk hands-free. Nobody else can hear the channel unless they're tuned in to 33, but the deputies will be locked onto 22 for official calls.
Sheriff Mitchell explains.
Be safe, okay?
I will.
And call me when you get there.
Should be there by sunset if the roads and trails are decent. Well, there goes civilization.
He mutters, tossing the phone onto the dashboard.
Wake up, y'all. Radio check from Ernest Ridge.
Jessica's voice crackles back immediately.
Ground control to Major Tom. Signal strength showing 26%. Very strong. That's a good start.
Copy that. I'm setting up the relay now. How's the DVRS working from your end?
All green lights here, Sheriff. If you look down at the main unit, you'll see standby, extended standby, and inactive standby. It's the second option, the second button.
Good thinking. I see it.
Sheriff Mitchell reaches over to adjust the radio settings.
I'll be switching to the ATV unit once I get to the ranch.
Understood. How's the weather looking up there?
A few high clouds are building to the west. Might get some wind later as cool night air rolls in, but nothing the equipment can't handle.
Copy that. We'll monitor channel 22 here. If you need anything, just squelch. Get it?
She says.
22 miles to the ranch.
Sheriff Mitchell tells Daisy as she watches Mitchell strap on his helmet.
You ready for a run? Of course you are. Well, it's not a Holiday Inn.
He adds, studying the sagging roofline.
But the roof looks good. SD Station, Sheriff Mitchell on ATV have arrived at Walker Ranch, beginning site survey.
Jessica's voice comes back clearly.
Copy that.
Sheriff Mitchell begins unloading gear from the ATV's storage bins, speaking out loud a mental checklist as he unloads.
Sleeping bag, LED lanterns, thermal night vision goggles, evidence collection kit, food, dry, ramen noodles, chicken soup, candy bar, chips, and water. 20 liters of potable water. Tyler packed pretty well. Lovely.
Sheriff Mitchell says, kicking aside some debris.
At least the floor is solid. Well, that's something.
He tells Daisy, who has appeared in the doorway.
Won't have to worry about water for washing up.
Sheriff Mitchell sits in his sleeping bag, organizing his evidence collection kit, when the radio crackles to life on its own. Someone's voice, a female. Sheriff Mitchell reaches over to the plastic bin where he'd set it.
Lucy, that you?
Dan, it's me. I just wanted to make sure I caught you before you went to sleep.
Lucy says.
I'm good. Just getting ready to eat something Jessica packed. Someone packed a bottle of bourbon for me. Exactly what you'd expect from a 20-something, right?
Sheriff Mitchell says. He holds the unopened bottle up, admiring the label.
I'm still debating whether to open it or not. If I do, it will be as good as if I...
Mitchell is interrupted by the loud laugh of a young girl. He is uncertain where the laugh came from. Someone in the room or from the radio. He looks down to the radio to make certain Jessica was not bleeding through from channel 22 somehow. The radio was still set to 33, and digital radios were not capable of crosstalk interference. The sudden laugh had jarred him from his half-awake state to full heart-pumping shock.
What the hell?
He blurts out.
Who was that?
Lucy asks, her voice now loud and full of accusation.
I have no idea who that was. Nobody is here but me. It must have been Jessica. She and Tyler must have found a loophole in the radio channels and are screwing with me.
Is she there with you? Have you been lying to me the whole time?
Are you being serious? Nobody is here, just me and the dog. And I need to find her. She's been gone a long time now.
Is she there? Don't lie. I heard her laughing.
Listen to me. Let me be perfectly clear.
He positions the radio close to his face and yells.
There's no one here. It's just me and the dog.
Just you and that giggling slut Martinez.
Sheriff Mitchell's heart pounds with rage. Who the was she to start launching accusations like this? There is a long, awkward silence. Sheriff Mitchell begins to wonder if Lucy's radio is even still on. Then Lucy's icy, dark voice pierces the silence.
I called the station an hour ago. She wasn't there.
You're not making sense.
Don't you dare talk to me like I'm an idiot. I know what's going on. Dan, I'm not stupid.
I'll call you back when you're not talking crazy.
Sheriff Mitchell angrily switches off the radio, throwing it up against the moldy wall of the ranch house with force, putting a small, fresh hole into the thin wood paneling. The hole joins a collage of other holes, gouges, stains, and punctures.
Ooh, yeah. You caught me, Lucy. I'm up here with some girls having the party. Woo! Just take a look at this party. Wow, woo!
He yells now, standing up, creating an intimidating silhouette against the wall. A horrible shadow that matches his rage. He grunts and yells, now looking around the room like a madman.
I guess I'll be opening that f***ing bourbon after all.
Sheriff Mitchell sucks down several good gulps of the bourbon. At least 4 or 5 shots worth.
Oh, that's better. Jesus, what the hell? Okay, I need to calm down. This is idiotic. Where is that damn dog?
Mitchell puts down the bourbon on his makeshift night table, made from a smaller plastic container. From the front door, he yells outside into the cold night air as if he owned the joint.
Daisy, Bingo, get back here. Now. Now.
Adding extra Neanderthal volume to the word now, to let Daisy know she's entering the red zone with his patience. No bark, no rustling, nothing. She would usually give back a bark if she were far away, but within earshot, just the literal sound of crickets and a distant owl calling through the night. He wasn't overly worried about Daisy. Her line was bred in Australia. She was part dingo. She was flown in from Australia to serve as bloodhound for the sheriff's department. A puppy, she was named Bingo, as whenever visitors would inquire if the dog was part dingo, the deputies would say bingo as a running joke. Bingo would be left at the sheriff's station all night, outside in a fenced-in enclosure, in a heated kennel, the deluxe model rated well below freezing. It soon became evident Bingo was having no part of being left alone all night and would bark non-stop until brought inside the station to be at the feet of her masters. Mitchell began letting her ride with him in the SUV and sleep in the kitchen at home on a thick carpet with an old throw blanket at night, and Bingo did not make a peep. Over time, Mitchell and his Bingo became inseparable. Lucy did not approve of the name Bingo, as the name originated as a joke, and did in fact remind Lucy she was part dingo, an unsettling reminder of her savage, baby-eating bloodline. Daisy could be away all night, chasing some beast under the moonlight, through the mountains, up to the snow line, and still return before Mitchell awoke. He was more concerned about having to wait around late into the evening for her return, more annoyed than worried. Mitchell closes the wobbly front wooden door the best he can, giving it a good kick into a fairly acceptable closed position. The bourbon was seeping into his brain now. The wife was certainly at home awake and stewing in her anger. But this fight was nonsense, and her problem. Another good bolt from the bottle would put him to sleep. His camping trip was shot. Lucy has spoiled the innocence of the experience with full-blown paranoid accusations like a sopping wet blanket over a campfire. The fun was over.
I just need
4 hours of sleep, and then we're the hell out of here.
Mitchell zipped himself up, his pants and long sleeve wool shirt laying on the plastic, summer-long johns serving double duty as pajamas.
Die. Die. Die up there, cheater. I hope something terrible happens to you and you disappear like all the rest of the losers did up there. You'll both get what's coming to you. What's coming to you? What's coming to you? Die.
The voice says loud and horrid, filling the room like a poisonous gas, seeping into pores and into Mitchell's ears, into his brain. Mitchell's eyes shoot open. He was deep in the throes of a nightmare. Had he dreamed Lucy's voice? Was he still dreaming, still in the nightmare?
Lucy.
Sheriff Mitchell grabs the radio, pressing the talk button down angrily to reprimand Lucy for waking him up in the middle of his sleep on an investigation. She was crossing a line now. The radio was off. Had he clumsily switched it off when he grabbed the radio angrily? Maybe he was dreaming the voice. Mitchell has a drink from his thermos, sets it down next to the bourbon bottle, and thinks on what he will do next. Whatever he does involves getting Daisy back to the house. Otherwise, he'd have to wait. He could yell again. If she were over one of the ridges that encircled the ranch, she would likely not hear him. He would need to make a loud noise, very loud. He grabs his Eagle 45 sidearm and storms to the front door, flinging the door open and nearly off the hinges, walks barefoot well into the wet grass, and fires a shot at the stars above. The crack of the 45 echoes well off the surrounding hills. Daisy would certainly hear the crack of his gun. He squeezes off another shot just for good measure. Mitchell stands in the darkness, bare feet planted in the cold, wet grass, straining every sense for any response. His breathing slows, his ears working overtime, filtering through the mountain silence for the sound of paws on dirt. A bark, anything. But the silence that comes back feels wrong, too heavy, like the mountains themselves are holding their breath. As Mitchell paces back and forth across the wet grass, calling into the darkness, the sharp edge of broken glass bites deep into his left foot.
Shit. It should...
He lifts his foot, feeling warm blood mixing with the cold dew. In the darkness, he can't see how bad the cut is. Mitchell hobbles back toward the house, cursing under his breath. He pushes through the door, his injured foot leaving dark prints on the floor. His blood now part of whatever unfinished painting this place has been creating for decades. Inside, he drops to his knees beside his gear, searching for the first aid kit.
It should be in the plastic bin with the evidence collection supplies. Come on.
Mitchell says, growing more annoyed with each empty compartment.
Where is it?
The radio sits nearby, like a malevolent black brick. Mitchell stares at it, remembering that it was off when Lucy's voice had filled the room with poison. It was still off. Maybe he should turn it back on, in case Jessica needed to get through. The thought of touching it, of hearing that voice again, makes him hesitate. He grabs an old sock from his gear and stuffs the radio inside, then shoves the whole bundle into a box, burying it under other equipment. Blood continues to seep from his foot. The makeshift bandage quickly turns dark red. Mitchell's hands shake as he continues searching for the police whistle.
Found it.
He whispers, clutching his prize. Standing in the grass again, bleeding, breathing heavy, looking about in all directions, Mitchell decides if he stands on the seat of the ATV, the whistle will carry even further. She'll hear this. Mitchell limps to the ATV, his bandaged foot leaking more with each step, and climbs onto the seat with his flashlight extended to the horizon. He blows hard, turning his head in every direction, the shrill sound cutting through the mountain air. He carries on for several minutes, just in case she needs to triangulate her direction back.
All right, Bingo. Get your ass back here. Now I want to get the hell out of here.
Perched on the ATV seat, shining the light onto the nearby hills, kilometers off in the distance, to give Daisy a beacon of light to aim at. Something in the distance catches his attention, a glistening reflection, like wet glass in his beam. He hops down off the ATV, keeping the light trained on the spot where the reflection was. The sheriff follows the beam toward the old corral area, maybe 50 yards from the house. As it gets closer, his light reveals something that makes his adrenaline surge. Daisy lies in a pool of dark liquid, her body torn open, innards spilling onto the ground. Sheriff Mitchell staggers back to the house, his mind reeling. This isn't random. Someone is here. Someone killed his dog and is playing games with him. As he enters the room, the absence of gear is shockingly obvious, almost as if impossible, like a horrible magic trick. It's gone. All of it.
What the fuck?
The full plastic bins, thermal night vision goggles, his American Eagle 45 and the extra ammunition, everything except what he's carrying. One LED lantern is left, as if the perpetrator wanted Mitchell to know the gear was taken right under his nose. He backs out of the door, off the porch, and away from the house in retreating steps into the darkness, crouches down onto one knee, quietly and carefully, drawing his ankle .38 caliber Ruger LCP. Sitting duck, better to make a hard bolt to the ATV. Mitchell dashes, hoping to escape, but his heart sinks as he reaches it. The key is gone, taken with the rest of his gear, stranded. Mitchell crouches low, close to the ATV, looking around for a revealing flicker of light or sound from his enemy. Nothing. They could be hiding well covered, watching him through the thermals. Sitting out in the open, he was an easy target. Only thick foliage and constant movement could save him from a rifle shot. In his long johns, with a bandaged foot bleeding through the makeshift wrap, clutching only his flashlight, whistle, and the Ruger. Mitchell bolts in panicked retreat toward the tree line, stumbling and crashing through the undergrowth as branches whip at his face and tear at his thin clothing. He continues, barreling through small trees, brush, deep enough into the woods to ensure a shot from a sniper would well hit a tree trunk before clipping him. Through the trees and brush, the ranch house sits with only the faint glow of a single 10-watt LED lantern visible through the only uncovered window and open door. A buzzing catches Mitchell's ear, faint and moving like a mosquito. He turns to his right, a flicker of light just coming through out of the cold darkness. His eyes are bleeding from scratches, sweat stinging the cuts, dirt smeared across his face. Mitchell squints to make out between branches and leaves the source of the distant light. It was far off, up into the hills, maybe a mile or less. He could hear no voices or laughs, just a buzzing that he wasn't entirely certain was not coming from his ears from the pounding of blood through his skull.
A campfire?
He whispers. It could be help. Other campers, maybe hunters. People with vehicles who could get him out of this nightmare. Or he could be whoever killed Daisy. He assesses his situation. He has the training, the element of surprise. He has his Ruger with 8 rounds. Sheriff Mitchell limps toward the light, using trees for cover. As he gets closer, he can hear something, an electrical humming, like power lines or a generator. The light grows brighter, but it's not a campfire. It's something else entirely. Something that makes the hair on his arms stand up and his injured hand tingle. As Sheriff Mitchell pushes through the last line of trees, he sees something that defies explanation. The light isn't coming from any source he can identify. And there are shapes, silhouettes, moving seemingly in and out of the light source. Thick, dark figures, not wearing any clothing he could identify, moving in the oddest manner, a deliberately odd manner, with flailing arms, 2 arms and 2 legs and a head. He could not make out their eyes. Their movements are wrong, too fluid. The quick movements to and fro seemed comical, but the longer Mitchell sat crouched spying, the movements seemed terrifyingly unreal, patently unrecognizable. Sheriff Mitchell slowly maneuvers to back away, but he has to know who the figures are. He's the goddamn sheriff, after all. He, after all, has the weapon. A closer look would reveal more. They would certainly retreat when he got close enough to make out who they were, but a surprise bolt upon them would allow him to surmise what in the hell they were and what they were doing. Mitchell slinks out of the woods like a cat, moving low and quiet, his arms locked, his Ruger extended. 75 meters away, he can make out the shapes better. There is no clothing. Some strange sort of rave track, piercing high frequency. He wanted to vomit. He cannot make out the source of the blinding light, but it must be over 100,000 lumens. 50 meters closing in, gun extended. He runs full speed at the figures. The movements, the smell, these are not humans, they're faces. Mitchell screams in fury, running into the light. Deputy Martinez pulls into the Mitchell driveway and takes a deep breath before getting out of her patrol car. She's carrying a cardboard box filled with Sheriff Mitchell's personal effects, his uniform shirts, coffee thermos, a few books, his reading glasses. Lucy opens the door before Jessica can knock.
Lucy, thank you so much for seeing me.
How are you, Jessica? Come in. It's good to see you. How's Tyler doing?
We're all sad, but it's getting easier.
They stand in the kitchen, the box between them on the counter.
Are you the sheriff now? Or just holding down the fort?
Lucy asks.
Just holding it down for now. I don't have the experience yet to be sheriff. I've been around long enough to know that. I can still hear Dan in my head. He would say, "You're not ready." These are Dan's things from his office and locker. I have to run. We're 2 deputies covering a lot of ground now.
Jessica says.
Well, thank you for coming by.
Miss Mitchell, I want to ask you something, and I apologize if it's nosy. When Dan radioed from the Walker Ranch that Friday night, he said you 2 had an argument. Do you think that might have influenced his state of mind, made him act erratic, impulsive? We're still trying to fit the pieces together. We're struggling to make sense of it, to be honest.
Lucy stares at her in confusion.
I never spoke to Dan after he left the house for the ranch.
The argument on Friday night, when he first radioed from the Walker Ranch.
Jessica repeats.
Jessica, I never talked to Dan on Friday night. He never radioed me once. He didn't call me one time. I assumed everything was fine because I never heard from him. I thought he made camp, was tired, and went to sleep to get an early start, or that he just could not reach me because the distance was too far for the radio. Before I forget, I think I should give you the radio Dan left and give you the charger back as well.
Lucy says, walking into the hall to retrieve the black radio, handing it to Jessica, noticing that Jessica's hands are shaking.
Yes, thank you.
I would like to know what happened to Dan, but I understand you all are still investigating. Just let me know how I can help, if I can. I'm sure things will get better and everything will be all right.
Lucy walks her to the door. As Jessica drives away, she can see Lucy in her rearview mirror, standing in the doorway, waving goodbye. Jessica looks away from the rearview mirror to the black radio sitting in the passenger seat.
Stay tuned. More episodes are on the way. Long short stories are written, recorded, and edited by David Davis. If you are listening to the podcast version of Long Short Stories, we invite you to join us on YouTube.